Hello, eRank, and happy World Goth Day from me, who's too hot for Goth, and Starla, who's too cold for Goth today, by the looks of it.
I forgot. I forgot till the last minute. So I saw your post about it on Facebook.
Yeah, which was after we were both already ready. We should have done a total Goth themed thing. But...
Oh well, it's freezing in Ohio for some reason. I don't know why. The rule of thumb here is that if you plant before Mother's Day, then your flowers might, die of frost. But now it's very, very cold, and we waited until after Mother's Day. So now I'm just mad.
Well, we have a Scottish saying which about 1% of the audience will understand, but it's ne'er cast a cloak till May be out. So don't put your winter clothes away till the end of May.
Basically. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. So yeah, but we've had amazing weather. Hence, I still have a tan. This is not normal. So yes, I apologize.
You're very tan.
I know, it's not right. It's very strange.
I don't tan. I turn very pink, and then I turn very white again.
You have the Scottish skin. Yes, that's what we all have.
Yes. My family is actually Irish and German, and we moved to Ohio in the 40s to get away from all the awful things that were happening during that time frame.
Yeah. So that yes, that'll be the Irish skin is very similar to the Scottish skin. So yes, you'll have the same thing.
Oh, hello from Italy. Let's see, cold in northern Michigan again too. Our earliest plant day is June 1st up here. Yeah, and you're not that far off from us either, because I'm more in I don't know, I'm more in central Ohio in the Dayton area, but I think it is currently 53. And this morning it was really cold. So all right. Well,
so we're nearly meeting, because in my car this morning, this afternoon it hit 30, but we're using different units, but we nearly hit the same.
Let's see, 58 here. Yeah, it's unseasonably chilly right now. All my flowers look very sad. They're not dead, but you can just look at a flower and tell when it's not happy. It's just all wilted over. But first warm day we have, they'll all pop back up. So, all right. Well, we're going to be going over a couple things. I know that, this is the time of year when everybody wonders, what the heck is going on with Etsy? We've got a lot of factors that are contributing to slow sales right now. It's not just the normal seasonality that we usually experience this time of year, but just keep in mind that over the last 12 years that I've been selling on Etsy, and Pam, it's been longer for you.
Yep.
We see these posts on Facebook and the Etsy forums, every single year around this time of people panicking because sales are slow. So this, the seasonality is a huge part of it, because people are saving money, they're spending time outside, they're not, stuffed up on their computers, they're, having cookouts and enjoying the sunshine and spending money on vacations. And, we just got through the holiday quarter, the holiday season. So there aren't as many gift giving holidays, which causes people to spend a little less money. But on top of that, obviously there's the stuff with the tariffs. We're in a very poor economy right now. People are being a little more cautious with their spending. So there are a couple things that are contributing. But usually around August is when we start to see a gentle uptick in that traffic. That's why every year around this time, I recommend that sellers start, using this as a time to grow, a time to learn. If you know that your product photography isn't that great, but you're really busy throughout the holiday season, then right now is a great time to do that photo overhaul that might take you a couple weeks. Or if you've got some listings that are underperforming, this is a good time to experiment and play around, because, odds are you're probably not going to break anything too bad, as long as you're not tinkering with anything that's already selling. just because things are going to be slow. And I would much rather tinker with things when traffic's already slow than when traffic is at its highest, like
Yeah.
in Q4.
Yeah. And guys, you're not going to like to hear this, but get researching and creating your Halloween and holiday items. This is the time to do it. But yeah, like Starla says, from when I started on Etsy and definitely right up to 2020, every summer people were going, things must be terrible, things must be down, it must be bad. So you can't judge how Etsy's doing by how individuals are saying it is, because from when I started till 2020, Etsy was on an upward turn every single year. Unfortunately, yeah, things are difficult just now. But Starla did remind me to show you all this little page if you haven't been there before. We brought our sites tool back again. This is for pro and expert users, but you do get a little sneak peek on the dashboard, and we will showcase this this whenever we can so you can see it as well. But this is showing of Etsy. This is showing the reach in the US just now over time, and you can see it definitely was dipping, but good news is things are, even though it's a difficult time of year, people are looking at Etsy. And then we can look at other sites. Let's go eBay. I've not looked at eBay for years because who still shops there?
It's been a hot minute. Oh,
but
it looks
the same,
almost identical.
It really does. This dip, is this like Mother's Day or something?
No, it was a tariff announcement, I believe. We've looked into it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. There's always some reason, and let's try Amazon.
I'm curious to see if Amazon has that one day.
That exact thing, yeah. Yeah, yep. It's not as pronounced, but it's there. So wow, that just goes to show how, if you, I'm sure we all realize, but how little changes in politics, no matter what side you're on. I'm not on any of your sides because I'm in Scotland, but no matter what you're on, anything in politics can have a really big, drastic difference to us all. So yeah, but all three of them, very similar trajectory. That word, very, yeah, very similar. And the good news is it is looking a bit better, but it's always tricky at this time of year.
So yeah, this was a really good question. Dying to know, does visibility or lack of sales on certain listings drag other listings and the shop down in ranking? It's actually normal to have listings that do really, really well while your other listings just seem to be sleeping. So yeah. That's completely normal. Having any listings that are doing well is good for your shop overall. Your listing quality score, that's what's going to help individual listings in search, but you also have your customer and marketplace experience score, which is basically your reputation with Etsy. And, every sale and every positive interaction and every good review, those all positively contribute to your overall customer and marketplace experience score. So having some listings that don't sell and that don't get any activity, it's completely normal. Most, even some of the biggest sellers in the world have a couple listings that are just stinkers. And it's, it doesn't mean you need to get rid of them in your shop. They might just be listings that only sell like one time a year, or you only sell a couple of them a year, which, that also could make sense for sellers who have expensive items. If you've got little wall art, but then you also sell expensive coffee tables, the coffee tables aren't going to probably sell every single week like wall art might. But when you sell an expensive coffee table, that sale could be something that like makes your whole month because the cost is higher. So, and Etsy knows that.
Yeah. And bear in mind, your shop quality score, things like sales and reviews and shipping on time all help. But that doesn't matter where they're coming from. So it doesn't matter if only one listing was doing amazing and the rest were doing terrible. And then for your individual listing quality score, if a listing's not doing well, chances are Etsy's already noticed it's not doing well. It's not getting shown in search or anything, but that doesn't hurt your other listing, because it doesn't benefit Etsy to have one listing that when it shows customers, they don't like it at all, and another listing that they buy tons. So then Etsy will say, let's drag them both down because one of them isn't working. Etsy cares about, it's not just the individual listing, it's how the individual listing is doing for specific keywords. So you could have a listing that's really terrible for one keyword and really great for another, and it won't be hurt for the keyword that's really great. It'll get boosted in search because it's doing well for one keyword and pulled down for the one that it's not doing so well in. So the algorithm is more clever than that. So yes, you're not going to get drop down. We all have listings that are duds that just don't work. All shot. You can check. eRank has a competitor sales tool. You can snoop your competition, and I bet they have tons of listings that aren't working as well. Or if they haven't, it's probably because they just culled them. But it doesn't hurt or help your shop to have them there or to take them down or anything. They're just null. They're not helping. They're not hurting, basically.
Let's see. Graphic Expressions it's asked, I've been doing the health check on my listings and have some that are an A, but the visibility is as little as 9%. How can I improve that? We kind of talked about that last week, didn't we?
Yep, we did a whole thing on that. So worth checking out last week's video. But yeah, the your grade is like a checklist of Etsy best practices. It's telling you that you've filled in the things to your best of your ability, but it's not telling you if you picked good keywords. So you might be optimized for the keywords you have, but they might just not be good for your shop. So I'd use something like eRank's rank checker to see if you're ranking for those keywords, and the keyword tool to see if those keywords have anyone actually searching for them. So you might not be ranking, or someone might not, there might be nobody searching, so you can't get any traffic, because the visibility is only talking about if people have, it's your average daily views. It's not saying you will be visible, it's just saying you haven't had people looking at you. So yeah, check that out, and then you can change your keywords if necessary. Also in the keyword tool, you can look at the related listings, the top listings, and see things like, what are their images like? Are their photos just pop better than yours? Do your items not necessarily fit into that search term? Sometimes, we aim for something, but I think a good example was the lesbian earring trend. A lot of people saw that was a really good keyword and jumped on it, but their items weren't in that kind of aesthetic. So even if they did manage to rank, people didn't buy it because that wasn't what they were looking for. So just check keywords and that you're listing photos and everything match up with what people expect.
Hey, Cassie, I just want to correct you here. She said when your listing is up for the 4-month renewal and you have no views or clicks, you should deactivate it because it can affect your click-through rate and conversion rate, and this can affect your overall store ranking. That is not true. This is something that a lot of YouTubers say, but this is kind of a misunderstanding of conversion rates and how conversion rates affect your shop. The conversion rate that you see on your back-end stats has no weight on your visibility and shop ranking at all. In fact, I don't even, the conversion rate there, it's really just for your reference. It's just something so that you know, but it has no lasting impact on your shop. I know a lot of YouTubers say that, but it is a misunderstanding of Etsy's ultimate guide to search. So basically, within an individual listing, if someone is searching for a cat mug, we'll say, and you have the words cat mug in your listing, and they click on that listing and purchase it, that is telling Etsy, yes, okay, this is a cat mug. Because they searched for cat mug, they found, that this was a cat mug. They bought it because it's a cat mug. Cool. We know for sure that it is a cat mug, which that can help Etsy better understand what your item is. But there is no reason to deactivate a listing if it hasn't sold within that 4-month renewal period.
Yeah, sorry, I got excited and I remembered
No,
where
you're fine.
this
I'm
article.
glad you knew exactly where it was.
So Etsy, this article is create listings that convert, and Etsy tells us, to put it simply, when shoppers click on and purchase a listing from search, that listing may rank higher in search results for that query. So that is your conversion, how that listing converts for that search term. I know a lot of, but it's been a myth that's been about forever, but the conversion rate doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, you could get loads of views from social media. Like, your friends might go and have a look. They're not helping or hurting by doing that. You could, if you've got a much higher priced item, it might take more clicks, people window shopping before they can decide that they're able to buy the item that they've fallen in love with. So it's conversion for a specific keyword on
Right.
that listing
And
rather than your total.
she said that comes from an Etsy coach who makes 6 figures a month. Remember, that's anecdotal. If she's already making 6 figures a month, that means that she has already got phenomenal listing quality scores and phenomenal, and you make 11K a month. It, it it's you're reading the chicken bones a little bit here. So it does. I mean, I know that it might seem like that's been your experience, but it's not causation. What you're experiencing is high listing quality scores of listings that are already performing well. Therefore, for those queries, they're more likely to rank higher in search. Um, when you improve your conversion rate, as in when you make sales, you get better visibility. That's a true statement. When you make sales, you get better visibility. But the conversion rate itself, the actual conversion rate that you see overall in your back end, has no impact on your actual search placement. So you do have correct metrics here that you're measuring. When you make a sale, your listing quality score increases and you get higher visibility when someone searches for that specific term. We'll say cat mug, for example. When the next person comes along and searches for a cat mug, you're more likely to appear higher in search. But the overall conversion rate that you see within your back end, when you go into your Etsy shop stats, that metric has no weight on your overall visibility in search.
Yeah, it's a myth that's been going about for ages. And it's a really sad thing because it causes people, like when they come to eRank and they're asking for help, that we get so many people say, I don't want to share my shop link because that'll kill my conversion. It's like, no, it'll help us help you. It's not going to kill your conversion. So in some ways it's been a good thing, because people used to think that getting views was a great thing and would spam their link everywhere. So it's good that it stopped that, but actually it doesn't hurt and it doesn't help. That overall shop conversion is near enough meaningless. The only thing it does is it's something that you can track. If you've done the same things 1 month to the next, but maybe just changed up something in your listing or changed up something you're doing with your advertising, or a million and one things, you could look and say, what's that done to my conversion rate? That gives you a good metric. But if you play the game and post links to all your friends and family and get them to click and can't tank your conversion rate, that's not a meaningful metric in any way. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Etsy encourages us to share our shop links and to use features like, Pinterest and things to, um, encourage sharing of Etsy links. And if conversion rate had that negative impact, Etsy would be discouraging us from sharing our links. Etsy wants us. Why would Etsy penalize us for bringing traffic to them? That should be rewarded. Um,
Yeah, it's free traffic. If you advertise to, if you tell your family to go and have a look, they might hang around and buy from other shops as well. So they might become an Etsy buyer. So yeah, Etsy doesn't want to penalize that.
Yeah, it's a common thing that we hear. There are tons of coaches out there that say this, but again, it's just a misunderstanding. It's usually not that they're not trying to give incorrect information. It's easy to misunderstand the what Etsy is saying within, what's that article? What's the article?
How to create listings that convert.
Yeah, it's easy to misunderstand what you're reading there, but it's something that we hear all the time. And yeah, let's see. I'm going to go ahead and do 2 more, and then we'll go ahead and jump into the demo. And then from there, we will get back into some of the other questions. But let's see, getting about 20% review rate is that average. I don't know what the average review rate is. I believe that it's more industry specific and not necessarily. No, I'm sure
It
that Etsy has
depends. I remember Anthony used to, because he would look at shops and go, "Oh, 30%, that's amazing." So he has the numbers. He obviously he can see the data. He's our data man. But this is another one. Like, reviews are good. They do impact your shop quality score and they can help you. But at the same time, if you have a digital shop and you never speak to your customer, they just get their thing, download it, go on their merry way, you're going to get less reviews than if you're hand making someone's wedding dress and you spend 6 months talking to them. They're going to give you reviews. So, as Starla says, industry specific, like niche specific even. But the thing to do is 20%, there's your line in the sand. If you do things to improve your customer experience, does that increase? That's the thing to be thinking of. If we told you it was the best score in the world, nobody had ever had 20%, would you stop trying to be nice to your customers? So it's
right.
best compare yourself to yourself and say 20%, I can do better than that. Let's see what I can do to be better than that.
All right, and we'll go ahead and do Debbie's, and then we will take a little break from questions and start demoing. But Debbie asked, I have one-of-a-kind items. Does that put me at a disadvantage in search? Unfortunately, yes, because Etsy does like to see items that can sell more than once. Etsy likes to see that stock behind an item because it takes Etsy a lot of time to understand what the item is, the type of ideal customer for that item, who they should show it to. Think about all the data that they have to collect about not just your listing, but the types of shoppers that might be interested in buying it. It takes Etsy a lot of time to establish that. And when you have a winning product that sells over and over again, Etsy gets sharper and sharper about who they should match that specific product to. With one-of-a-kind items, unfortunately, you don't have the ability to build up those listing quality scores through repeat sales and positive reviews of singular listings. So ranking those listings in search can be a little bit more tricky. But the one saving grace for one-of-a-kind sellers is that you guys do have the ability to build up your overall customer and marketplace experience score. So that's going to be that, your positive reputation at Etsy, making sure that, you're shipping on time, you're communicating with customers, you're getting good reviews. Those are all going to be the things that help you. And, in the case of getting good reviews, I would say that I would make getting good reviews a top priority. If you can print out some type of little insert, reminding them, maybe with like a little QR code that goes in your packages, all of those things can definitely help. You could also create some products that are repeatable, or offer some products that are repeatable. That way you have just a couple items that are easy to remake. For example, if you sold beautiful one-of-a-kind pendants, maybe creating a small line of easy to replicate bracelets. That way you've got just a couple listings that are, your in search ranking listings. And then if someone clicks on one of those listings, then they might get curious, go over to your storefront, see what else you have to offer. Maybe they want to see if they've got, you've got any necklaces that might match their bracelet that they just picked out. And then bam, they get to see those one-of-a-kind items. So yeah, it one-of-a-kind, it really is tricky. And it's almost like counterintuitive, because Etsy is like a unique marketplace, handmade, and then at the same time, they make it really hard for one-of-a-kind people.
It's not impossible, though. Firstly, my shops, all I make is one-of-a-kind things. But Etsy does tell us, I think it's in that same article, or but they have told us at certain points that they are looking at similar listings to get an idea of what to do with your one of a kind listing. But yes, it will struggle a little more algorithmically. However, you do have an advantage of it might take a bit of time to build up, but when you've got an audience, when I started off just making one of a kind things, I finally hit on a few people that were avid collectors, and every time I would list something, they would snatch it immediately because they knew it was one of a kind. It was the only thing of that it was ever going to exist. So you can build up a following. You can do launches of little collections of things. And then there are ways to not game the system, but to work with the algorithm. One thing that Etsy absolutely loves is personalized or customized things. So you can be one of a kind, but you can have, rather than just have ready-made things, you can say, I can make this to your specification based on this. And then you have a listing that sells and relists again and again, but you're getting to be creative. And that's what's been the main thing in my shop for long enough. Another thing, like Starla says, is yes, your items are one of a kind, but can you make little simpler ones that can be replicated? So you could say, I do that with my bookmarks. It's like everyone's individual. The one you get will be made perfectly just for you. It'll be similar to the one in the photograph. So you make a feature of it being not identical, but you still have a sell and relist type of item. You can also, like painters, I know some great artist shops who have their one of a kind items are like the hero items in their shop, but they have print on demand things of notebooks, fridge magnets, stickers, so people can buy a piece of their art and build up a collection and save up and perhaps one day manage to get the painting. So are you at a disadvantage? Yes, but you also have a whole lot of opportunities if you think creatively.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, honestly, when I started replicating my keys with my first business, I did jewelry, and originally everything was one of a kind. And I thought that I was going to be able to build a sustainable business model that way. And I quickly realized that that was going to be impossible. So I did some that were small batch where I'd make, 5 to 10 because they were so elaborate, and I would charge a lot more for those. I had one of a kind pieces, and I even provided a certificate that showed and it had like a stamp and my signature that said like, this is a one of a kind piece. And I made a big deal out of it. And I charged way more for those. But then I had the little, pendants that I just always kept in stock no matter what. I always made sure that if they went out of stock, that I quickly restocked them, but I made those by the hundreds. So that was the point when I transitioned from the one of a kind to creating repeatable products. That's the point where my business was able to grow to a 6-figure shop. It wasn't until I was able to create those repeatable product lines, not just because, it ensured that if somebody shared a picture of their necklace on social media and all their friends wanted to buy one, I didn't have to say, oh, that I don't make those anymore. That was one of a kind. They could just go right in my shop and buy the exact thing that they wanted. It made things like Pinterest a great marketing asset because then, people would take the pretty pictures of the jewelry and pin them, and they would get pinned all over the place. And if somebody saw that pin, even if it was from 5 years ago, they could still click that pin and find the item still in stock. And it helped me to make a lot more money on the one of a kind pieces, where I was able to charge $200, $300, $400 for items that were one of a kind, simply because people weren't just buying the item itself. They were buying the fact that they knew they would not, see it anywhere else. And they got a certificate, and, I signed it with the creation date, and they were proud to have that. So it actually can help you to charge a little more for those one of a kind items if you add some, small things in your shop that are replicatable.
Absolutely. I hope we've helped inspire you a little bit and you're not too, saying, the algorithm doesn't like it. The algorithm isn't everything, but, that we all have to think creatively in our shop. Right. Shall we
Ready?
dive into?
Yes. And when you pull it up, Can you also, someone had asked where the rank checker is, maybe
Oh,
just
yeah.
real
Yeah,
quickly
I
share
saw
where
that. I'll
that's
do
at.
that first. Yes. So the rank checker that we spoke about is under keyword research. Yeah, got it first time.
All the
Rank
way
checker. So this tool, if anyone hasn't seen this, I am actually sharing my screen. Yes. If anyone hasn't seen this, this is a way to find out where your listings, let's have a look. Let's hope I'm ranking today. This is a way to find out where your listings are ranking on Etsy before the personalizations come in place. So Etsy, firstly, it has like 3 passes of algorithms. Firstly, it matches your listing based on the keywords in it. Then it ranks it. This is what the rank checker is showing. It uses all those factors that we know about and puts a ranking on it, and then it adds personalization. This is for the individual person searching. This is what Etsy thinks they're going to like the most. So that's going to be different for everybody. So the rank checker just shows you directly from the Etsy API where Etsy's ranked your stuff. And oh, it looks like we've got the updated rank checker here. So there's a lot more going on here, but it should, yes. So you type in the keyword that you want to search for, your shop name will be picked by default, and then you pick the country. Now you can pick the country that you're in, or if you want to go super hard mode, you can look at see how you rank in against everybody in the world. And then it just shows you if your listings are ranked and where are they. So, oh, I've got 2 on page 1. That's fantastic. So you get some more data here. And so you can see if you're ranking, which super handy. And then the other thing, you can see the top listings. If you're not ranking, you get to see who is, and maybe kind of reverse engineer that a little bit and see the data that they've got there, like what's their price, how many views, what do their pictures look like. So you get a little bit of more interest there. And yes, we just got this added. So you can also, especially if you have a free or a basic account and you don't have enough quota to do all your keyword research, you get a wee look at the search volume here and a little bit of the insights of the top 5. This is on the keyword tool. I think at the minute in time we'll look at the top 100 listings, but rank checker we're looking at the top 500 listings. So you can look and see, like, my item is 3 times more expensive than the average there, and what are the average weekly views or daily views of these listings. So there's a whole lot of data there. So I absolutely love the rank checker. Right, so so what we were actually going to talk about is what happens if this is your sales. So this, we had a chat about this. Starla, you weren't there, you missed it in the Facebook group, but we hear this all the time. Is somebody saying my sales have crashed?
We just hear that right now. Hello, my store was selling 5 to 6 items daily with some drops, but in the last 3 to 4 days, sales dropped to 0. Etsy search traffic is 0 the last 3 days. I got a 4-star review. Could this be the reason? No, it's 4 stars is considered a good review.
Exactly. Yep. So hopefully we can help a little bit here. So this is what people are talking about. However, quite a lot of the time, what you actually see if they zoom out is potentially this is what's happened. People are telling us that they've had a crash, but what they've possibly had is a spike, which is a very different thing. So they weren't getting many sales, then suddenly they get a lot of sales. What was my next slide here? Yeah. So they see this spike, and it's almost, I've done it myself. You think you deserve that. You think that's your new normal, even if it's only a few days or a couple of weeks. You think you've done the right thing and stuff is dropping. But what you've not looked at, firstly, you've not looked at why the spikes come along, why you've got all those sales. And there's another important factor here. If we look at before the spike you've got a baseline of how many sales or how many views you usually get. And what we want to do is not worry about the spike, but we want to make sure that after the spike, our baseline's moved up a bit. So that means you've learnt from what happened. So like, we'd love that growing on Etsy would just be like suddenly spike and then it just keeps on growing, but generally things aren't like that. So we want to look at, why did the spike happen and how can we capitalize on it so our baseline's higher than what it was before. So, and this has changed, so I have to take one away before I can add the other. So this is something that actually I think most of us have had, but eRank can actually help you with this in a few ways, if it'll load the dashboard for me. I had this a little while ago, and the first thing I did, I just opened the dashboard, and if you have connected your Etsy shop and your eRank account to your Google Analytics, we can really help you with things, because you want to know where this is coming from. So firstly, we look at top keywords. Mine are abysmal just now, really bad. But I did notice suddenly I had a spike in sales. I opened my eRank dashboard, and in my top keywords, I had, it was corgi gifts or something, and it just had a ton of views. I was like, I'm getting seen for corgi gifts. Fantastic. So then, you know, there's a keyword that's blowing up. If I have any other listings that could be relevant, list them right now. Make sure, you know, I'm capitalizing on that keyword, and also research the keyword to see, is there any other similar things, so you can keep on that trend.
A bunch of people are asking, where was that chart? Where is this chart in eRank? But
this is just on the dashboard, but you have to connect up. If you don't have it, you'll have a little thing here telling you to connect up your Google Analytics. Can someone post the article in chat for how to connect it up? Although Google changes things a bit, so you'll have to step through it.
The chart you just showed, the graphs you just showed were from our Google Analytics.
Yep, this is Google Analytics, where once you've connected it up to eRank. So that's
the sales graph that you just showed with the purple, the one where it showed the dip. Those, I thought those were just slides that you made.
Oh yes, sorry, yeah, that's just me playing around. That's just slides. Sorry, yes.
Were those, and that's, I mean, they should be able to see that in their Etsy shop stats.
Yeah. Yes, that would be just your sales stats, but that was just a graph I made in Canva to show you have in your shop, you have graphs of what your sales are doing, what your views are doing, and everything. So that was just a little rubbishy mock-up of that. Yeah. So in the traffic stats, again, you can see even where all the views are coming from. And I just noticed today that UK and United States are tied in my shop. I don't think I've seen that before. And Australia, you guys, I don't know why you're searching me, but thank you. And another really cool thing is, where is the traffic coming from? Because you can look and you can say, and I'm not having a dig at everyone in the Facebook group that said this, but this just really got me thinking. When you look and you say, my sales have crashed, it must be Etsy. Etsy's doing a terrible thing. But if you can look here, not all of your sales necessarily come from Etsy. Now, this is just my traffic sources. It's not telling me where my sales are coming from. But if I'd had a sudden spike in sales and I looked on here, and Pinterest used to be massive for me, I looked on here and I saw thousands of visits from Pinterest, then I might say, hold on, something's happening on Pinterest. And then that's the thing that you have to check up on. So you've just got this as a quick thing on the dashboard, but like, guys, if you haven't connected we harp on about this. If you haven't connected your Google Analytics, it can only track your keywords from the day you connect it to your Etsy shop. So it's really good to do it before we get into the holiday season, so that you can be gathering all of that data. So then once you've got this connected, you get the quick overview, but we also have a tool for that. Where is it? It is, yeah, Shop Insights, the traffic stats tool. I've already got mine opened up. So here you can see the keywords. You can pick different time frames. You can see the number of visits you had for certain keywords. I've no idea where I'm getting found for a crochet pattern. If I click down that, it's organic search. I was just checking because if it was Etsy ads, I'm going to go in and switch some things off on Etsy. You can see how many visits you've had, but you can also see where they found where you're listing. This isn't a rank checker. This is physically the place on Etsy that your listing was when the people found them, or rather the average position. So I think that's, guys, I was at position 301 for a Chinese crested crochet pattern. I don't make Chinese crested crochet patterns. So if anyone makes crochet patterns, there's definitely a market, because the people sat and scrolled through to page 300 to get that thing.
They were determined.
Exactly. So if you see something like that, then you can look and go, is this something I could make? Music cat. I have no idea what the person wanted when they're searching for music cat. That is so interesting. So you've got all of the keywords. So this way you can track them. And if you've seen one was getting massive spike, click on the star that adds it to a keyword list so that you can track it. You know, you can come back coming up to Christmas. If suddenly, you know, it was the holiday season that this keyword was doing great, maybe you want to come back at the end of the summer and check that you still have those listings. They're still ranking. They're still relevant for those keywords. As I said, I don't know if I'm about to see one. Yeah, well, we see here the traffic source organic search. If you have Etsy ads on, you'll see if it came from organic search. These other tabs, not sure if I'll have anything much from there, but yes, if you've got views from social media, you can have a wee look and you can see, like, I've got views. This listing is, it's 15-year-old and it used to get so many views from Pinterest, but who would have thought? Pinterest times have changed, so it gets less now, but you can see what traffic's coming from Pinterest. You can
And
see
what
as
type
well
of products too. It looks like most of the ones that are popular in Pinterest are cats.
Yep, cats do it all on Pinterest. In fact, yeah, that's good point. I'm right down there before I find a dog. Yeah, so it shows you the kind of things that do well on the certain social media platform. Things like Facebook, you can't, it can be so frustrating when you go viral on Facebook. If someone shares you in a group that you don't have access to, you might never know. So it helps you a little bit to know what's going on. But again, if you were going to be paying for your own social media advertising or something, this might be cool. Like, if I was going to do that, then I might want to definitely look at, if I was going to advertise on Pinterest, it might be this cat, because this cat gets by far the most visits for me. So, you know, bet on the things that are working. And then you can even, once you know what listing's getting all the views, you can dig right in and have a wee look at, when you click on it, it takes to that actual listing that you were looking at, and you can look at it in more details. What I like here is also it's showing me if I was getting found for terms, have I optimized for them? So cat bookmark, when I look, I say the word cat bookmark in my title. So yes, I say it in my tag. So I'm as optimized. It's getting views. I'm good for cat bookmark. But am I missing a trick here? Like felt cat bookmark and felt bookmark. I don't have that in my title. Should I maybe change my title up a bit? Possibly not when it's getting lots of views, but it starts to give you some ideas. The other thing, I got a few visits for white cat bookmark felted. That's a black cat. Should I make a white cat? So that's ways to capitalize on if you see lots of things, and then hopefully if you're seeing a load of views, you can take that data and use that data to move the needle up. The thing isn't to go, oh, what's Etsy done? Etsy must be broken. Etsy is broken. Yeah, like absolutely. There's problems, but you don't just sit around and go, oh no, it's terrible. You sit around and go, right, why was I getting those views? Where were they coming from? What can I do to make sure I at least capitalize on the data that I've got? Yeah, I hope that was helpful anyway.
Got 2 questions about track changes. One from the Facebook group and one from chat. Lori had asked if there was a way to track all of her listings without having to click on each one individually with track changes. Unfortunately, no, because you might have 100+ listings, and if you are on, one of our smaller plans, you might only have a small quota on how many listings you can track, and we don't know which of your listings you want to track. So because of the quota limitations, depending on what plan you have and the number of listings that you might have, we don't know which of those listings specifically you want to track. So when it comes to those quotas, just make sure that you're being intentional about the listings that you're choosing to track. And along with that, Kitty Nash in the Facebook group had asked if there was anywhere that we could put notes in the track changes tool. So Pam, do you want to cover that one?
Yeah, well, I've been asking for that forever because I forget why I've made changes, to be honest. Both of you, well, at the minute in time, no, there isn't. Both of you, thank you so much for the suggestions. We are, if you haven't noticed, all of our tools are getting an upgrade. You'll have seen some of the tools beta. I got a surprise set that the rank checker is going to the beta version now, and I'm super happy with that. So we are working on updating our tools, and we are taking all of your feedback into account. I think there really might be some cool changes with this kind of data coming soon. I say soon. We've said that we've teased tools before, and they come out before like we've finished the stream, and we've teased tools and they've taken 2 years because we sit and go, no. And in fact, yeah, it was the
extension.
It was the extension that we absolutely we killed that for going, no, add that. So
yeah, Anthony was ready to launch it, and we were like, no, you can't launch it yet.
Yeah. So I know the team have been working, and they've been taking all of your feedback and absolutely are working on lots of things. And I do know that the track changes tool was one that we were excited to try and improve because it's got a load of potential. But yeah, there's a lot extra we could do with that. So hopefully, I can't say what's going to happen and when it's going to happen because I'm not 100% sure, but fingers crossed.
Let's see. Can you please explain how the algorithm works? That'll probably take a lot longer than what we have, but Etsy's Ultimate Guide to Search, there is an article called How Etsy Search Works. Definitely start there because it's basically the Etsy Bible. But in terms of your question, is it normal for sales to come in waves, 3 days of good sales followed by 3 days of almost none? Absolutely. That's business. That's the economy. That is right now, kids are getting out of school every single year. When the kids get out of school, I know that my kids' last day was today. We've got a couple counties over, their last day is next week. This whole time frame when the kids are getting out of school for the summer, it's always slow. I don't know why. I'm assuming it's parents having to adjust and, readjust schedules and celebrating with their kids. But for some reason, the week that the kids get out, or the month, around the month that kids get out of school, sales on Etsy tend to take a bit of a nosedive. But it's completely normal, especially since when you make a sale on Etsy, you do get that slight boost in search just because Etsy is saying, oh, goody, like, we matched your product to the correct type of customer. Let's see if we can do it again. And we had a question. Let's see.
But yeah, is it normal? It's like literally that's kind of what I was talking about here. Is you see a spike and then you see nothing. It is so normal. People are talking about it all the time. It's just to look at what is it that made the lot of sales come. And yeah, like Starla says, part of what the algorithm is, it's when someone sees you in search, click on you and purchase from you and you ship it on time and you get a good review, all of these things send positive signals. So you rank a little bit higher. So there's a chance that you'll get a few more sales because you'll be seen a little bit more. And then, there's a bit of bad luck. Perhaps someone else gets a few more clicks than you. You drop down in search. So yeah, it's like turning about. Your competitor will do a little bit better. Suddenly they'll get the boost and then you'll do a little bit better.
Yeah, and someone said, does Etsy not give new listings a bump in ratings to see if it will sell? And if it doesn't, it drops. Yes, Etsy uses that, time frame to, it's not just to see if it will sell, but it's to collect data on the types of people who are exploring that listing. It's Etsy trying to figure out what that listing is and who they should show that listing to, because searches on Etsy are completely personalized. What you see on Etsy is completely different than what I see. What we have over at eRank with our rank checker is the data from Etsy's API before personalization is applied. So that, represents a good average. So you can see where on average your listing would be, what page it would be on before personalization is applied. I actually covered this in my Tuesday video because I talked about these Etsy SEO people who will message you on Instagram and say, I took a look at your shop and you have great products. However, it is so sad that they are not getting the visibility they deserve. I will help you optimize your list. The way that they get away with this, and the reason that you see these, like, I will help you rank overnight, and then those people have a bunch of positive reviews, is because they assume that you don't know that new listings get a boost in search. So when you go in, you check on your rank. Yes, it is ranking in search. Hooray. But the reality is that eventually it's going to probably drop back down a little bit. So it's just something that they try to exploit from, people who just don't know any better.
Yeah, and they haven't taken a look at your shop, because I can tell you that the eRank Facebook page gets those messages all the time.
It's so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed when they message the official eRank Instagram to say that they want to optimize our listings. I mess with those people too on my personal. I mess with them because I figure if I waste their time, then they have less time to go and mess with somebody else.
And it's fun.
It is fun. It's very fun. Let's see. Any plans for eRank to have a mass editing tool for photos, variations, and others?
It's not something I've heard talked about, but on eRank, if you hit the little E in the bottom right-hand corner to talk to our support staff and give them a description of what you want, we could very much look into that. We are, as I say, we are really, really looking. Well, we're always looking into things, but we're really looking into things. And if that is something that you think would be interesting, just give us some details of what you think, and if the team think that's something that we could do and that would be handy for our members, then who knows.
Let's see. And then does eRank plan on CSV exports to bring in, I assume you mean AI tools. For some things we do have CSV exports still, correct? We didn't get rid of those, right?
Yeah, I think they're still there. To be honest, I just well, yeah, no, I've
they're the keyword lists.
I've downloaded the keyword tool, the related keywords, and put it into Chatty, and she's been able to read it. But yeah, I don't think
intelligence.
I don't know what that is. Business intelligence. Yeah, I can't spell either. That's why we assume it's wrong and assume it's AI. Yeah, if you let us know what that is, I'm missing something. Yep.
Let's see. And you'd also had another comment that said that I have the eRank grade score. I have several listings that are a D and have a visibility of 95% plus they're my best sellers. Your listing, you shouldn't be getting a D on listings that are best sellers. We actually automatically increase your grade if that listing is selling to keep people from going in and making a bunch of unnecessary changes.
If it's recent sales. Like if it's a seasonal item, then your grade may drop. But again, if you check last week's video, I talked you through how to look at the listings to change, and you don't really want to dive in. It's not just the grade. You're never just looking at one thing. So you look at your grade, you look at your sales, you look at your visibility, you look at the SEO tips, and pick out the real low-hanging fruit. If something has a 99% visibility, go and meddle with the things that have the 9% visibility. Absolutely, leave it alone. The grades, they're good. As I say, it's like a checklist. It's saying you're following Etsy's best practices, but they're not something to get hung up on. We tried many times to remove the grades, but people hated us when we did that. I wouldn't say they're not.
And the colors, the green, yellow, red. We tried to get rid of that too, and people freaked out.
Yeah. So I won't say I dislike the grades. I like it, but once you know how to structure an Etsy listing, you can get an A grade. You can make a fairly good Etsy listing that's a great seller with a D or an E grade. So yeah, if you know how to game the system, it's basically like sort of a resume builder or something. It's saying you have all the things in the right boxes, but it's not telling you it's good things. So the grade's only part of the puzzle, and please don't think it's a very important part of the puzzle. It's a nice thing, but yeah, don't touch anything with good visibility. And if something's selling just now, leave it alone. You might go and look at the top shops on Etsy, and I bet you'll find some of their top sellers are awful listings. And the thing is, SEO is like your first step. SEO is your foot in the door. Well, we haven't brought him into a chat for a while. Look, if you're looking for an acting job and you've done nothing, but you have the best resume CV out there, and you think you'd be perfect for the role, and Jason Momoa is sitting next to you, and he's got like a little snotty handkerchief with "I'd like to be Aquaman," and you're sitting next to each other, it doesn't matter how good your resume is. He's proven that he can do it pretty well, so he's going to get it. So that's the thing, is your SEO is your great resume, but experience trumps everything. So, you've got to, once you get in there, you're hoping to make lots of sales and build up and be Jason Momoa one day. And that is my one mention of him that we need to do every month. I'm contractually obliged to mention him every month. Absolutely not, but it's always good to pop him in there just in case.
Well, he does support Handmade now that he bought that awesome cardigan for himself and Jack Black. So
he does, absolutely.
Well, we are out of questions and have 1 minute left, so I think that this would be a perfect time to cut here. Guys, thanks so much for hanging out. I won't be here next week, but Pam will hopefully be able to recruit Brian or someone. So yeah, guys.
We'll have somebody here. And it should, as that'll be the end of the month, that'll be a listing shop critique one. So yeah, if you want your listings or shops critiqued, then join us next week. Okay, guys, thank you so much.
Bye.
It wasn't easy.